If you don't build a system, life turns into a loop you can't escape. Problems come back again and again, not because you're lazy or incapable, but because you're stuck in reaction mode. Every morning becomes a gamble. You wake up, check your phone, rush through, and then hope the day treats you kindly. That's not a plan. That's surrender. And the hard truth is, surrendering your days is the same as surrendering your future. Most people don't realize how much they're losing until weeks blur together. They stay busy, but not effective. Always moving, but never arriving. It's not that they don't work hard. They do. It's that they're fixing symptoms instead of addressing the core. The core is simple. No system, no progress. Without a structure that supports you, life is chaos disguised as effort. Here's the paradox worth remembering. You're not weak. You're unstructured. You don't lack potential. You lack process. That shift in perspective is powerful because it removes guilt and replaces it with clarity. You don't need more hype. You don't need another motivational video that spikes your energy for 10 minutes before fading. What you need is something real, a rhythm you can return to every day, whether you're at your best or at your worst. A system is not glamorous, but it's what works. It strips away guesswork. It gives you rules to lean on when motivation disappears. It keeps you from drifting into the shallow end of endless distractions. Think about how many times you've told yourself, tomorrow will be different. And yet, tomorrow looked exactly like today. That's the loop I'm talking about. Without a system, every tomorrow becomes another yesterday. Now, imagine instead, you woke up with clarity. You already knew what mattered most. You didn't waste the first hour of your day scrolling or reacting. You stepped into action, not waiting for permission from your mood. That's the beginning of change. Not a perfect plan, not some grand event, but a small decision to lead your day instead of letting the day lead you. Take control of your days, and you take back your power. This doesn't mean controlling everything. It means controlling what counts. Your attention, your rhythm, your standards. The alarm rings, and instead of drifting, you direct. Instead of hoping, you decide. That's the moment you stop living on repeat and start designing forward motion. And let's be clear, freedom doesn't come from chaos. Chaos looks like freedom. No schedule, no rules, no commitments. But in reality, chaos is a trap. Real freedom comes from structure. When you know what matters, when your day has boundaries, you're not chained. You're free to focus, to grow, to actually make progress. That's why this message matters. If you keep letting days slip, your future will slip right with them. Years from now, you'll wonder where the time went. The answer will be, it went into everyone else's agenda except yours. But that doesn't have to be your story. You can choose to break the cycle. You can build a system that works for you, one that fits your goals, one that carries you when your energy dips, one that removes the constant stress of starting over. So let me ask, are you ready to stop drifting? Are you ready to trade randomness for rhythm? Because the shift begins not with some massive transformation, but with one honest decision. I'm done drifting. I'm done repeating. I'm ready to build a system that holds me up instead of breaks me down. That's the pivot point. That's where the story changes. And once you taste the difference, once you see how much stronger, clearer, and more in control you feel, you won't want to go back. Because you'll realize it was never about working harder. It was about working with structure. As we move forward, remember this opening truth. The problem isn't your ability, it's your system. And the first step to reclaiming your life is simple. Decide to control your days before they control you. From there, we'll build upward. Chaos is the silent thief of progress. It creeps in through an unplanned morning, a scattered to-do list, and a life that runs on emotions instead of intention. Most people think they lack motivation, but what they really lack is structure. Without it, you can spend the whole day busy and still end the night wondering what you actually accomplished. That constant frustration isn't a failure of effort. It's the absence of design. Structure doesn't make you rigid. It makes you free. It protects your hours from being stolen by distractions. It lowers your stress by cutting away the endless decision-making that drains your mental energy. And it gives you clarity in moments when emotions want to pull you off course. Think of it as a blueprint for your daily freedom. With a strong design, you're not reacting to everything. You're choosing deliberately. You're directing the flow. Consider how different life feels when you wake up knowing exactly what matters. You don't have to guess. You don't waste time juggling 10 ideas. You're grounded by a simple rhythm. When to wake up, what to tackle first, when to shut out the noise. That rhythm is what brings peace, not pressure. You don't need to control every hour of your day, just the anchors that hold it steady. A solid morning, a focused middle, a clean finish. Those three alone can transform how you feel about yourself. Without structure, emotions dictate everything. You feel good, you act. You feel tired, you quit. That cycle of chasing feelings will keep you inconsistent forever. Structure is the antidote because it doesn't ask you how you feel. It tells you what comes next. It's a lifeline on the days when motivation disappears. A compass when your mind is scattered. Even small structures, deciding what time to wake up, writing 3 priorities, setting boundaries on your phone, can completely change how your day unfolds. And here's the truth. Structure is not about perfection. It's about reliability. You don't need to master your whole life right now. You just need a framework you can return to, even on bad days. That framework saves you from the endless cycle of starting over. You're not trying to get every detail flawless. You're building a foundation you can lean on when everything else feels unstable. Ask yourself this. How many times have you started something with excitement, only to abandon it within weeks? Was it because you lacked talent? Or was it because your days had no flow, no support, no design to carry the effort forward? Dreams die not because they're impossible, but because they're left unsupported by daily structure. When you create structure, confidence rises, doubt fades. Instead of feeling scattered, you move with purpose. And even when you stumble, the structure keeps you aligned. It holds the path so you don't drift back into chaos. That's not boring, that's power. Freedom isn't the absence of rules. Freedom is the presence of the right rules that keep you steady while the world tries to pull you in every direction. So where do you begin? Keep it simple. Choose a consistent wake-up time. Block one period of focused work where nothing interrupts you. End your day with a short review of what worked and what didn't. That's it. These anchors act like pillars in your schedule. They don't have to be many. They just have to be strong. And the stronger your anchors, the less likely you are to get dragged into other people's chaos. Don't wait for the perfect moment to build structure. Don't wait for life to calm down, for motivation to rise, for schedules to magically align. Start now, even if it feels messy. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking about change. Clarity comes from doing it. Each small step compounds. Each repeated choice builds rhythm. Each consistent day strengthens the system. Think of structure as the quiet force that eliminates confusion. It's not loud, it's not glamorous, but it's what makes progress sustainable. Without it, weeks slip away. With it, every day has direction, every action has weight, and every effort moves you forward. At the end of the day, it's simple. Fix your day. Fix your life. A well-designed day is the seed of a better future. And once you taste the peace that structure gives you, the calm mornings, the focused afternoons, the satisfying nights, you'll never want to return to the chaos. This is your moment to choose. Will you keep leaving your time to chance, or will you start building the design that carries you forward? Because the truth is, the future you want begins with the structure you create today. And now that you see why structure is the hidden key, it's time to explore how habits built into that structure keep working even when you feel drained. Most people can do the right thing when life feels light, when energy is high, when the mood aligns with the mission. That's not the hard part. The real challenge is staying consistent on the days when you wake up tired, when your mind feels foggy, when nothing inside you wants to move. Those are the moments that separate those who drift from those who grow. Because if your system only works when you feel good, it isn't a system. It's a wish. The truth is simple. Energy will always rise and fall, but habits built into a structure can hold steady. That's why you need habits that don't rely on mood. They need to be so simple, so automatic, that you don't ask, "Do I feel like this today?" You just do it. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't negotiate with yourself every morning. You don't ask for motivation. You just act. That's what growth habits should feel like. Non-negotiable, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to shape your identity. This is where many people get stuck. They wait to feel ready, and in doing so, they miss countless chances to take the small steps that would have compounded. Readiness is a trap. If you wait for energy to come first, you'll spend half your life postponing action. You don't need readiness, you need repeatability. How do you build repeatable habits? You strip away complexity. You make the action small, clear, and anchored in your environment. If you plan to read, decide the time and place. If you plan to move, lay out your shoes before bed. If you plan to write, leave your notebook on your desk. These small environmental cues remove friction, so when you're tired, you don't have to think. You just follow the path you already prepared. The goal isn't perfection, it's reliability. 5 push-ups done consistently matter more than 50 push-ups done once. 1 sentence written daily matters more than a full chapter written sporadically. When you lower the barrier to entry, you remove excuses. Because it's not about how much you do, it's about refusing to skip. Skipping is the enemy of habit. Action, even small action, is what strengthens it. Here's where identity comes into play. Each time you follow through despite being tired, you cast a vote for the type of person you want to be. Not someone who waits for the perfect mood, but someone who shows up no matter what. Over time, these votes reshape your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as inconsistent. You start seeing yourself as dependable. And that shift changes how you move through the world. When fatigue shows up, habits act like rails that keep you from sliding off the track. They carry you forward when your mind tries to pull you backward. And strangely, those low-energy moments become your greatest training ground. Anyone can act when it's easy. Growth is built when it's not. Each tired repetition becomes proof of your discipline, evidence that you can trust yourself. And trust matters more than motivation. Motivation is fickle. Trust is earned through repetition. Every time you honor your habit when it would have been easier to quit, you build that trust. That trust compounds into confidence, and confidence makes tomorrow easier. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Pick 1 or 2 habits that matter most right now. Attach them to a clear time and place. Keep them so simple you can't justify skipping, and then guard them fiercely. When you feel resistance, remind yourself, I don't rise to the level of my intentions. I fall to the level of my systems. And my system is simple enough to follow even when I'm tired. Over time, these habits become second nature. You don't argue with yourself about whether to do them. They just happen. That's when you know you've shifted from effort to identity. The habit stops being something you do. It becomes part of who you are. And this is the turning point. Once you've proven that your habits can carry you through fatigue, the rest of the system becomes easier to build. Because now, you're not dependent on feelings. You're dependent on design. That design is stronger than willpower. It doesn't crumble when energy dips. It holds you steady. Remember this. The breakthrough isn't in doing the right thing when you feel great. The breakthrough is in showing up when you don't. That's how you grow even in the slow, heavy seasons. That's how you build resilience, confidence, and momentum that can't be faked. And that's how you start living by rules instead of moods. Which leads us naturally to the next step, creating personal rules so clear, so unshakable, that you stop negotiating with yourself altogether. Life gets easier when you stop negotiating with yourself. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste in constant debate. Should I do this today? Maybe later? Maybe tomorrow? That internal back and forth is exhausting. It drains your focus before you even begin. The solution isn't more motivation, it's rules. Clear, simple, non-negotiable rules that guide your behavior no matter how you feel. A rule is different from a wish. A wish says, I'll try to work out this week. A rule says, I move my body every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. No discussion, no delay, just execution. That's the power of rules. They replace endless decisions with a single standard. When you live by that standard, you stop chasing discipline and start embodying it. Think of the people you admire for their consistency. They don't seem to waver, not because life is easier for them, but because they've set personal rules that cut off the option of excuses. Rules remove choice in the best way possible. They take the weight off your shoulders by deciding in advance what matters. Then your job is simple. Follow through. Without rules, your life gets steered by moods. Some days you'll push forward, other days you'll drift. Over time, that inconsistency becomes your identity. You start to believe you can't trust yourself, that you'll always break your own word. But when you set rules and stick to them, the opposite happens. You begin to respect yourself. That respect becomes confidence, and that confidence spills into everything else you do. Of course, excuses will still whisper. They'll tell you today is different, that tomorrow will be easier. But tomorrow isn't easier. Tomorrow brings the same resistance unless you cut it off at the root. That's why rules matter. They silence excuses before they even start. If the rule is no phone until my first priority is done, then it doesn't matter how tempting the notifications feel. The rule decides for you. Start small. You don't need 20 rules. You need 2 or 3 that actually move your life forward. Maybe it's waking up at the same time every day. Maybe it's committing to 1 hour of deep work no matter what. Maybe it's reviewing your goals every Sunday evening. Pick rules that matter, and then protect them like they're sacred. And here's the truth. Rules don't fail. People do. The temptation will be to loosen the standard when it gets uncomfortable. You'll tell yourself the rule wasn't realistic. But more often, it wasn't the rule that broke. It was your discipline. That's why repetition is key. The more you practice keeping your rules, the less you even think about them. They become automatic. They become who you are. This is what separates wishful thinking from real transformation. Anyone can talk about goals. Anyone can feel excited when energy is high. But very few people create standards and hold themselves to them when no one is watching. That's what builds strength. That's what creates reliability. Can you count on yourself? That's the real question. The beauty of rules is that they simplify life. They quiet the noise in your head. You no longer ask, "Should I?" The answer has already been decided. You just act. That frees your mind for bigger things. It keeps you from wasting hours in self-debate and puts that energy into meaningful work instead. And when you inevitably break a rule, and you will at some point, the key is honesty. Don't excuse it. Don't justify it. Don't wait until next week to reset. Own it, fix it, and return to the rule immediately. The faster you recover, the stronger the rule becomes. One break doesn't kill the system, but excuses do. Rules may sound restrictive, but in reality, they create freedom. Freedom from decision fatigue. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from the endless cycle of starting over. When your rules are clear, your path is clear. You know what matters, and you do it. That consistency becomes your identity. You're no longer someone who drifts. You're someone who follows through. This shift is not about punishment. It's not about perfection. It's about building reliability. Reliability in yourself, reliability in your habits, reliability in your system. That reliability is what allows your goals to compound over time. So, set your rules. Keep them simple, keep them honest, and keep them non-negotiable. And once those rules are in place, the next step is to give your days a plan so sharp that time itself starts working for you, not against you. Every person on Earth has 24 hours in a day, but the difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck lies in how those hours are used. Planning is not optional. It is the compass that keeps your time pointed toward what matters most. Without it, days dissolve into distractions, leaving you exhausted but empty-handed at night. The real issue is never effort. It's direction. And direction comes from intentional planning. Think about how most people live. They wake up with vague intentions, maybe a list in their head, but no real schedule. They jump from one task to another, answering emails, scrolling feeds, responding to messages, and chasing small fires that pop up. At the end of the day, they feel drained yet dissatisfied because none of their true priorities were touched. That cycle of busyness without progress is the cost of not planning. When you plan your day, you stop drifting. You stop waiting for the right mood or the perfect circumstances. You take control before the world takes control of you. Planning isn't about filling every second with tasks. It's about choosing what deserves your energy. It's about saying, "These are my top 3 priorities. These are non-negotiable. Everything else can wait." That simple act creates clarity, and clarity creates power. One of the most effective ways to plan is to block time. A priority without a place on the calendar is just a wish. By assigning each important task a specific time, you remove the chance of pushing it off. This technique also protects your focus. You know exactly when to work deeply, and you know exactly when to rest. Mixing the two is what burns you out. trying to work while half relaxing, or trying to relax while still checking notifications. A clean separation of focus and rest keeps your energy sharp. And don't underestimate the small habit of planning the night before. Taking 5 minutes before bed to lay out your next day is one of the highest return habits you can build. It quiets your mind for sleep, it gives you direction when you wake, and it eliminates the chaos of reactive mornings. Instead of stumbling into your day, you enter it already aligned. Here's another truth. You don't need a complicated planner or expensive tools. A simple notebook and an honest reflection will do. Ask yourself each evening, what must get done tomorrow? What am I wasting time on? What do I need to let go? Then answer clearly. When you start your day with those answers, distractions lose their power. Of course, planning isn't about perfection. Life will interrupt. Meetings will run long. Unexpected events will pop up. But if you have a plan, you can adapt without losing everything. One shifted task doesn't derail the whole day because you still have a structure to fall back on. Without that structure, a single disruption can throw you into chaos. The deeper reason planning matters is self-respect. It's your way of saying, my time is valuable, my goals matter. When you treat your hours with intention, you build dignity into your days. And that dignity shows up in your confidence. You walk differently when you know you're not wasting your life on meaningless tasks. But planning isn't enough if you only focus on what's easy. This is the trap many people fall into. They plan, yes, but they fill their mornings with light tasks that give the illusion of productivity. Checking emails, cleaning desks, scrolling updates, while the meaningful work waits until later. By then, their energy is gone. That's why true planning isn't just about mapping the day. It's about putting the hard, meaningful tasks first. The first hours of your day are your sharpest. That is when your focus is strongest, your willpower highest, and your clarity clearest. Spend that energy on the tasks that actually move your life forward, not on the easy things that only make you feel busy. When you tackle the hard thing first, everything else feels lighter. You carry pride into the rest of your day instead of guilt. So combine these two truths. Plan your day with intention and put the hard things at the top. That combination creates momentum like nothing else. One focused morning can change the trajectory of the whole week. One disciplined block of hard work can open doors that endless shallow tasks never will. Remember, planning is not about control, it's about clarity. And clarity is what transforms time from something you lose into something you use. When you choose your tasks with intention and order them with wisdom, your day becomes a tool instead of a trap. As we close this section, let this be the reminder. Planning is an act of respect for your time, your energy, and your future. When you honor your day with structure, you stop wasting life in reaction. And once you learn to plan and prioritize this way, the next step becomes even more powerful. Learning not just to add more, but to remove what makes you weak so your system can truly support you. Progress isn't only about what you add, it's equally about what you remove. Many people think success is stacking more habits, more goals, more hustle. But often the real weight keeping them down isn't the lack of effort, it's the presence of weakness. Weakness hides in the distractions that steal your attention, in the habits that drain your energy, and in the environments that keep pulling you back to who you used to be. If you don't cut these anchors, no amount of effort will set you free. Look at your life honestly. What behaviors leave you feeling empty afterward? Maybe it's hours lost scrolling feeds. Maybe it's the just one more excuses with food or drink. Maybe it's relationships that flood your days with drama and negativity. These aren't small annoyances, they're weights. And as long as you carry them, every step toward growth feels harder than it should. Removing weakness isn't about perfection, it's about clarity. It's about deciding you won't keep tolerating what quietly destroys your progress. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Weakness fights back. The moment you try to eliminate it, excuses rise. Your comfort tells you to ease up. Your mind argues that balance is enough. But balance doesn't remove weakness. It manages it. And what you manage, you keep alive. To change, you need elimination, not negotiation. That might mean deleting apps, stepping away from toxic circles, or creating boundaries that feel uncomfortable at first. Yes, people might question your choices, but this isn't about pleasing others. It's about protecting your future. And while you remove weakness, you also need to double down on loyalty to your system, even when no one is watching. Integrity is doing the right thing when the crowd is gone. It's easy to stay disciplined when you're being praised. It's easy to push forward when accountability is external. But the kind of growth that lasts is born in the quiet, when it's just you and the choice to keep showing up. That's where character is built. Ask yourself, do you only follow through when others can see it? If so, your discipline is borrowed. It vanishes the moment the spotlight fades. But when you can honor your rules, your plan, and your habits in silence, you become unshakable. That inner steadiness is what allows you to thrive in a noisy, distracted world. While others are scrambling to get back on track, you're steady, consistent, reliable. But even with discipline and integrity, you must face the final test, brutal honesty with your results. It's tempting to sugarcoat, to say, I worked hard, without looking at whether the outcomes match. Progress isn't measured by intentions. It's measured by what you can see and touch. Did your fitness improve? Did your income grow? Did your writing stack up page after page? Without honesty, you end up protecting pride instead of protecting progress. Checking your results requires courage. It exposes gaps. It forces you to face the truth about where you're falling short. But that truth is liberating, because once you see it clearly, you can fix it. Denial is what wastes years, not failure. When you track your results weekly, when you measure what worked and what didn't, you replace excuses with data. And data gives you the power to adjust. Finally, we come to the most underrated principle of all: persistence through the fog. There will be seasons when nothing makes sense, when progress feels invisible, when motivation is gone and the path seems endless. Most people quit here. They mistake discomfort for failure. But discomfort is proof you're growing. Confusion is a sign you've stepped outside the old patterns. The only requirement is that you keep showing up. Action brings clarity, not the other way around. The discipline to repeat your habits, to follow your rules, to plan your days, and to review your results, even when it feels pointless, is what compounds into breakthroughs. Growth often hides under repetition, waiting for the moment it finally clicks. And it only clicks for the ones who refuse to stop. So here's the real challenge. Can you rely on yourself? Can you keep showing up without applause, without instant results, without comfort? If the answer is yes, then everything you want is already being built. Not in a single dramatic leap, but in the quiet, daily consistency of someone who refuses to drift. This is how systems transform lives. Not with noise, not with hype, but with structure, elimination, honesty, and persistence. That's the blueprint. That's the path. And now, the choice is yours. The heart of this entire journey is simple but not easy. Action first, clarity second. Too many people wait for inspiration before they move, but waiting is what keeps them stuck. Clarity is born from doing. Momentum is created by repetition. Confidence is earned by keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. The real progress is quiet. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself with applause. It grows slowly, invisibly, beneath the surface. At first, you'll wonder if anything is working. You'll question whether the system matters. You'll feel the pull to reset, to start over again and again. Resist that urge. Don't reset. Stay. Because compounding doesn't work if you keep interrupting it. There will be stretches when no one notices your effort. The world won't cheer for your 5 a.m. mornings, your blocked work hours, or your disciplined habits. And that's okay. Because this path was never about outside validation. It's about self-respect. Can you look at yourself and say, "I did what I said I'd do"? That is the foundation of unshakable confidence. Progress often hides in plain sight. It's in the calmer mornings. It's in the sharper focus. It's in the way you say no to distractions without guilt. These are small signs, but together they point to transformation. Don't overlook them. Don't dismiss them. They are proof that your system is working. And when the doubt comes, and it will, ask yourself one question: can I rely on me? Because everything rests on that answer. Systems, habits, rules, and plans mean nothing if you won't show up. Reliability is the ultimate strength. It turns effort into results, repetition into identity, and silence into momentum. So, as we close, remember this truth. You don't need another reset. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need the world's approval. You need to keep showing up, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one quiet choice at a time. That's how the future grows, effortlessly, because the system is carrying you forward. Will you keep showing up even when it's hard? Will you honor your system even when no one claps? Will you build reliability so strong that your future becomes inevitable? The choice is here. The time is now. Start small. Protect your rules. Follow through in silence, and keep showing up. Because in the end, it's not motivation that changes everything. It's structure, integrity, and persistence. Start now, one quiet choice at a time.